Hello budgeteers, today Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, an extremely interesting discard commander out of Theros Beyond Death, coming in at just 1 black and 1 red to put it onto the battlefield, and we sacrifice it unless it escaped. Whenever Kroxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card, then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. So we're going to be focusing on some discard tribal, making other people discard. We're going to have some discard ourselves, put some stuff in graveyards, have some madness payoffs, and really just play an insane, sort of aggressive, crazy type of game with Kroxa, who seems super awesome in these Rakdos colors. So let's jump straight in. We want to obviously make other people discard with a lot more than just Kroxa. My favorite one out of this little package is Chain of Smog. For just 1 and a black, target player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. That player may copy this spell and may choose a new target for that copy. And guess what? Even if they choose us right back, that's great. We've got some madness cards and discard payoffs we'll talk about, and then we get to copy it again and give it to someone else. And we're fine if the whole table discards their whole hand. And as well as a bunch of other cards. We have about 10 to 12 here to make other people discard, and it's going to be awesome. So, if we're going to have everyone discarding, we want some payoffs when our opponents are discarding those cards. So, we have some basic ones like Megrim, which says whenever an opponent discards a card, Megrim deals 2 damage to that player. Very solid. I also really love Asylum Visitor, which is a madness card as a bonus, but it says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in hand, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Not that hard to do in this deck. So, even though we are discarding, we're going to get the most value out of our discards than anyone else. Starting with a nice little madness package we have, which includes some cards like Dark Withering. Obviously, 4 black is not very good for a kill spell, but for madness, we can play it for a single black, and we have a lot of ways to activate that at instant speed if we want to. Also, something like Curse of Fool's Wisdom. For just 3 and a black, we can enchant a player, and whenever that player draws a card, they're going to lose 2, and we're going to draw 2, which is pretty nice. So I did mention some ways that we can activate that discard thing at instant speed, and a lot of it comes from our ability to draw cards. Almost every card draw engine or card in this deck has a related form of discarding. So Pirate's Pillage is a really interesting one. For 4 mana, we're going to discard another card. So we're paying 2 cards and 4 mana, but we're going to draw 2 and create 2 colorless treasures. And basically all of our card draw revolves around discarding as an additional effect, which is great. We love that in this deck, and we definitely want to keep doing it. So now we also, as any deck wants, we have a few responses. These are the board wipes and removal package. It's pretty basic. We have Assassin Strike, Eat to Extinction. You can see Bite of the Black Rose is a little mini board wipe we can use, and we also have Capital Punishment, or excuse me, Extinguish All Hope is our other board wipe in the deck. So very basic, very simple. This could be upgraded rather easily. There is also some ramp in this deck. It's not super important to talk about, but it is in there. Now, before we go on to some game winners, let's take a look at TCG Player to see where this deck comes in. Our goal was $25 for the day, and you can see it's $28 without shipping and just above $25 for the cards. Currently, this is with a $9 Kroxa, so hopefully that goes down a little bit, but these prices can fluctuate as it's using TCG Player and depends on some availability of some cards. Also, this deck is very easy to upgrade with more discard payoffs that you can see on EDH Rec if you want. Okay, on to those game winners we were talking about. First, my favorite one is probably Boneyard Parley. We're going to be putting a bunch of stuff in people's graveyards through discarding, and this lets us reanimate some of the strongest stuff that we can find. Also, Syr Konrad the Grim is just an excellent choice in this deck because a lot of creature cards are going to be put into graveyards, and he's going to ping people for damage every time this happens. And we can even pay 1 and a black to put stuff in graveyards off the top, which can be great after a tutor to the top and works pretty well with something like Boneyard Parley. Also, Apex of Power is an interesting one. If you've ever played it, let me know if it works out like you think it would. It does cost 10 mana, but you exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way, and you also get to add 10 mana back, so you don't actually end up spending any necessarily on Apex of Power, but I am curious to see how this card works. So let me know if you've ever seen it work or if you get to try it. So thanks for joining me today, budgeteers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you decide to pick up this deck, let me know how it runs. And otherwise, go have a great game of Commander this week.